You're good, Win.
All right, perfect. Wait 2 minutes and we're ready to go. Still have 2 minutes, so. So I don't know, it was last night about 2 o'clock. I got a tone, it was like a grass fire and like a house was in danger and apparently they saved the house.
It was a house. It started in the kitchen.
Oh, the house caught fire.
The air fryer
Okay.
was all in fire.
I thought it was Cheryl's house, by the way, it popped up on my map. I gotta get with them and get it to do it right on my deal.
So it wasn't there, it was on 2652.
What on,
2652. Yeah. So 2652 and LC Young Road.
Wow, that's ways.
I'm embarrassed to admit I was awake when that shot went off. I couldn't just see that. Quiet before the storm. All right, it's 9:30. All right, I call this meeting of the Young County Commissioners Court to order. Let the record show it is 9:30 a.m. All 5 members of the court are present. We are streaming live on YouTube. If you're watching and you'd like to make a comment, you're welcome to call in on 940-221-2107. If you're able, please stand for our invocation and pledges. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion and grant us wisdom. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that affect the citizens of Young County, and continue to remind us that all we do here today, all we accomplish, is for the service of our community. We ask these things in your name. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one
and indivisible.
All right, we'll move to item number 3, public comments. Do we have any public comments today? Please.
My name is Arwen Johnson. I'm a resident of Young County on FM 1974, 4324 FM 1974. My east property line will butt up next to the proposed solar farm, and I am standing today in opposition of granting this tax abatement for this solar farm.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comments? Please.
I'm Les Gorey, my wife Donna and I are here, just to put our concerns out there about the solar farm. We live on Kramer Road in Murray, but we have property on Murray Cemetery Road, which would possibly be affected by this. So we have concerns about the impact on wildlife.
The impact on wildlife and what else?
Other issues.
Okay, thank you.
they did something.
They did, yeah. I passed the list around.
There you go.
Are there any other public comments today? We are going to be talking about the solar farm later in the meeting, and y'all will have the opportunity to participate in that if you'd like to. All right, let's go to receipt of hotel occupancy tax. We have a report for December 2024 from the Old Homestead, $56.26. We have a January 25 report from the Wildcatter Ranch and Resort, $5,095. And we have a January 25 report from the Cabin at Salt Fork Ranch, which is $16.05. We'll move to item number 4. Consider the county clerk meeting minutes from the previous meeting, which was February 10th, 2025.
So
We have a motion from Commissioner Wiley and a second from Commissioner Cresswell to accept the minutes as presented. Is there any discussion on that? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We'll move to item number 5, which is consider the treasurer's financial report and updates on securities pledge. Treasurer Mullins?
No report on that today, just the donations for the Young County Historical Commission.
So we have 2 donations. We have a $10 cash donation for the Historical Commission, and then we have map sales of $20. So it's a total of $30 in donation. Do we have a motion to accept that? We have a motion from Commissioner Cresswell. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Shook. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We'll move to our favorite topic, auditor's budget amendments and vouchers payable
Of course I have.
by Miser Roberts.
Thank you, sir. The total today is $136,266.34. And out of the general fund is $68,113.77. And nothing from Donovan Insurance.
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Wiley, a second from Commissioner Craig. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Also have a budget amendment, and we talked about this before earlier, we've paid the bills now, moving money out of building maintenance and other equipment down into the boiler maintenance from the issues that we've had and had to replace. $16,662 out of building maintenance into boiler maintenance and $6,000 from other equipment into $12,662.
Okay. And we're actually gonna, we put this later in the agenda to talk about
Yes,
this.
so you'll look
didn't we?
when you see
Because
that.
I've got boiler, I've got the
22,000.
boiler flag.
So that was that boiler, that, the total boiler we replaced.
Okay, and so what was the total amount again?
22,000. 22,662.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the budget amendment.
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wiley. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Cresswell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. So who made the motion? Who made the second?
Sure.
Separate.
Yeah, it's separate, but I didn't know if you had to do it.
All right. Brace yourselves. The most, the much anticipated 2023 audit results is the next item on the agenda. Mike, how are you?
Doing great.
Thank you for all the work you did on this.
I know it was a challenge this year.
It's always a challenge,
I
right?
know it is. Tell me it's like that with every county though.
Yes, it kind of is, so yeah, it really is. Counties are just unique. You have some governmental entities that have consistent chart of accounts, consistent revenue streams, and things like that. Counties are kind of just different. I don't know how to say it, it's just different. It's not a bad thing, it's just the way Texas is set up for the counties and how they operate. But I am Mike Edgen with Edgen, Perkman, Fleming and Fleming. We have the 22-23 audit report for you today. Yes, it is a little delinquent. Our goal is to get back with you in maybe 3 months or so and have the 24 audit for you. You know, as you know, we had some issues with the turnover in the treasurer's office, some issues there that kind of got things behind. Things are getting current again, so we're rocking and rolling again, financially. I will go over the annual financial report first with you. That's the larger bound document. I'll just hit highlights, but as I go through it, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to stop and ask away. Pages 1 through 3 is our independent auditor's report. It is a qualified report as it relates to your judicial receivables. Those are not recorded. Our goal is to try to get them in there for 24 because of the issues with the transition of the treasurer's office and so forth. With the previous treasurer, it got delayed, so hopefully we're looking at the 25 number.
And we have made progress with Purdue Branding
That's
to
right.
clean that up. It's just the transition is kind of.
He was gonna bring it up to me when he came to Wildcat, he got sick and wasn't able to make it, so he does have the information.
Great, so progress, like you said, progress is being made. That's our goal, is to get it in there. And I say 25 is because we need 2 years of clean data to get that in there. So we're looking at the 24 and the 25, and we'll have it in there for 25. Immediately after the report, we have the management's discussion analysis, that's pages 4 through 13. That is unaudited. We do help draft that for management, but we get the information from county management, and we collaborate that with what we found during the audit process. On pages 14 and 15, these are unique set of financials. This is the only time you'll see them is in the audit report. I refer to them as the government-wide set of financials. We take all the funds of the county, convert it from a short-term basis to long-term. That means we have all the long-term assets, all the long-term liabilities recorded. It's on a full accrual basis of the county. So if we just look at the statement of net position, AKA the balance sheet, if you will, we have the total assets, about 34 million, deferred inflows and outflows listed there related to pension and OPEB plan, and then liabilities, which includes your long-term debt, leases and so forth. The assets include the capital assets, net of accumulated depreciation. But down at the very bottom is your equity, the net position. In total, the total net position was about $30.1 million, and part of that's in capital assets, and it's part of it's restricted, and there's $11,715,000 that's unrestricted.
And Mike, what's the rule of thumb as far as your fund balance? That
Now,
how many months is typically considered to be healthy?
yeah, we'll talk about fund balance in a minute, but the Government Finance Officers Association, which is kind of the international body that looks at governments, they say anywhere from 3 to 6 months is healthy. So, now, of course, I think that, my personal opinion, that may be a little low in today's world. Everything's costing a lot more, but that's just my opinion. But I'll show you fund balance, because that's on a short-term basis when we look at the fund level statements. And this is net position on a long-term basis. On the next page is the statement of activities. It shows the expenses, the program revenues, and then toward the bottom, general revenues. But the change in net position toward the bottom there, the county added $1,273,000 on a long-term basis to your net position. Starting on 16, these are the funds that you're used to seeing. This is the short-term basis, so none of the long-term assets, liabilities are recorded. And this will have fund balance as your equity here. So we have the general fund, American Rescue Grant, or your 2 major funds. Everything else falls in the non-major column. That'd be your other special revenue funds and debt service fund. We look at the general fund, total assets less the liabilities and deferred inflows. The total fund balance was $10,631,000. Most of that's being unassigned, which is $9.6 million. I just mentioned 3 to 6 months healthy. You are at about 9.5, so above what the GFOA states for that in your general fund. The American Rescue has a small $51,000. That's basically the interest really earned on the proceeds since it's been received from the grant. And then the other non-major funds has $1.3 million in fund balance as well. And how those change between the 2 years is listed on 18 and 19. This is statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, the same funds, general fund, American Rescue Grant, and non-major. You have the revenues, expenditures, and then some other resources and uses on the top of 19. The change in fund balance, the general fund added $334,000 fund balance this year. American Rescue Plan, about $47,000. And I said that's mostly interest earnings. That is interest earnings for that fund. And the non-major added about $89,000. Working here. On page 21 and 22, 23, the county operates an internal service fund for its health insurance, and that's the balance sheet, if you will, for that account. And on the next page shows the ins and outs, if you will, charges and the expenditures. It added about almost $13,000 to that position. And then 24, 25, this was new last year. We had to report the custodial funds, the additions and deletions. But 24 are the balances of those accounts. That's all the fee offices and so forth throughout the county. Cash investments, a little bit from other funds.
Was this a change in how we didn't have to report this in the past?
No, what we had were what we call agency funds. We had the balance sheet, but we didn't show the next page, the additions and deletions. So that was new in 22. Anyway, the difference between the assets and liabilities is in that position. And on 25, you can see the ins and outs. Now that excludes the monies that belong to the county. So office is collecting money for the county. These are really third-party type of collections and disbursements. You can have to see what's happening there. 9.5 million in, about 9.5 out, which is normal. After that, we have lots of notes to the financial statements. I will not bore you with any of that. 50 and 51 is a required supplemental schedule. It's the budgetary comparison schedule for the general fund. The first column is the original adopted budget, the final amended budget is the next column, the actual operations, and then the variance between the final and the actual. You look down, we can see the revenues. You actually earned more revenues than what was budgeted, about almost $780,000. And then also the expenditures, you spent about $950,000 less than what you budgeted. In total, the general fund, y'all adopted about a $1.2 million change in fund balance. That was the final and the original. And he came out, as I said before, about $334,000 to the cost. Now, in that schedule, we did have some unfavorable budget variances. I'll talk about that in just a minute. And then the next page, 52, is very similar. It's just for the American Rescue Plan as well. And that's your annual financial report. Any questions before we move on? What you're looking at, Judge, is the pension plan and the 10-year schedule that we produced for that.
I know you have a list of things to work on, but all in all, we had a pretty good financial year.
Absolutely. I would 100% agree with that. Had positive increases in fund balance and the net position. Absolutely.
One thing Cheryl has helped us implement, we're gonna talk about it later, we now on a monthly basis go by each budget and what we're spending and kind of see who's getting off budget, who's staying on budget. And but that's kind of an idea that you've floated out there in the past that we're implementing now.
Great. In addition to that report, we have the other band report, which is scheduled expenditures and federal awards. Because of the fiscal recovery funds that the county has, expended over $750,000 in this fiscal year. So we had what we call a single audit on that federal program. So that's the program we tested. And we had no findings or collection costs as it relates to that program. However, in the report on 6 and 7, we had 2 findings. This is the report on internal control compliance as it relates to government auditing standards. It's the same 2 findings we had last year. We had a few material audit adjustments and then the overexpended budgets in general fund.
Has anyone that you've worked with, have they talked about having to make a final account on the ARPA funds to the federal government? Because I haven't seen anything on it yet.
Not yet. I think people have been hesitant, just like this county, of spending it and when to spend it. So I think some of those deadlines, you're way out to 26 before you have to spend every dollar of it.
Mhm.
So I think people are just now starting to spend. So, no, I don't think I've had anybody that has completed all their projects and submitted their final claims and then
I just
Start
haven't
the
even,
clock.
I haven't
The clock
even
starts
seen them
ticking.
asking for it yet.
I think when you get to the end, they would start.
Yeah.
Or if you weren't claiming anything before, they may have been asking, hey, what's going on? Do you have a plan? Because those deadlines passed at the end of 24, but making sure those funds were obligated.
And we're small enough that we technically can just claim it all with lost revenue, so they may not be as interested in us as they are
That's
others.
very true.
I did show him the project we had going off of this one.
Yeah, walk down the hall and see
And
that.
that is the ARPA, that will finish the ARPA.
That will make sure every dollar is spent.
Yes, we have to.
Well, as the judge alluded to, we do have a separate letter that has some, what I call a management letter, at the very bottom right-hand corner. These are items that we noted either last year's audit or in this year's audit, and I kind of give you the status of each from the prior year and the new items. We talked about those as well. The prior year, we had some material large adjustments last year. As I pointed out again, we had 3 this year. Budget variances, we did have some unfavorable budget variances last year and again this year. Already talked about the judicial receivables, plan with that. And then policies and procedures, top of page 2. There's basically limited or no written procedures and policies relative to certain things, the accounting process, disaster recovery. I think because of all the efforts spent trying to get the accounting records up, that kind of got put to the back burner. Non-county bank accounts, last year we had a couple of rural fire departments that were using the county's EIN number. This year it's gone, so that's been taken care of. Outstanding checks, last year we had several that were over a year old. There's still several, I've listed those there, that had some older checks that should either be investigated, is cheated to the state, etc. The balls fall there. Bank reconciliations, these are also last year's comments. Some of the fee offices did not have some complete bank reconciliations. Some also didn't have third-party reviews. Continue to insist that those be done at some point. Again, I think the treasurer's office and the use of the county auditor's office kind of put things behind there as well. Last year, the county failed to invoice the city of Albany for some dispatch services. That was done this year, both 22 and 23 was done in the fiscal year, so that's been taken care of. The depository agreement had expired in 21, and as of now, or at least when we did the audit, that still had not been done.
We can't get them to send us a new agreement. We've had those
Crazy.
conversations with them, and they are really hesitant to do it. I don't know why.
I don't either. The only other option is to send it out and see if there's any other interested parties, to see if they would be interested in providing it. The positive thing is, they're still fulfilling that role as if there was an agreement in place.
Yeah.
Current comments, we talked about the treasurer, bank accounts being behind. They just got caught up in March of 24. However, when we did the audit, they were still behind in the current year, so hopefully we can get those caught up, and then we can get back into auditing. The other last comment was the debt service fund. The debt has been paid for the INS, but it does need to be closed out. It will be closed out as the court approved to do. So that's need to be taken care of as well.
They just go right back in the general.
Yes, y'all, that's the way y'all said it, and then the collections of delinquent taxes would go to the general fund as well. That's right, exactly.
Obviously, none of this will get fixed about the 24 audit,
No,
since
absolutely.
we're literally just
No,
rolling right
yeah,
into the
exactly.
24 audit, but
Yeah.
Cheryl and Kyle, the three of us, we need to put our heads together to knock this out so that we get some progress on the 25 audit.
And then we had another letter, honestly, that's a required communication. We can either do it orally, we can always put it in writing, because we get audited as well. It's the best way to prove that it's done is to be in writing. And that's what I have for you, Dan. It's a lot in a short time period. Do you have any questions?
Well, I would like to make a comment. I appreciate the work you did on this. I know this is not the time that you originally had allotted for us, but our transition kind of put us in a weird spot. But thank you for fitting us in, and I know from talking to both Kyle and Cheryl that appreciate the work you put into this.
Our pleasure. Things happen. I mean, that's just the way it is. You've got to adapt to that. So that's what everybody did. County more than us, so that's for sure. But the good thing is we got 23 finished. Good financial results, which, you know, you never know until you actually see the audit report coming out. But yeah, it was good financially. And then we'll look and see what happens in a few months. We'll be back.
And we added someone in the auditor's office, so it's gonna be a little bit easier
Yeah.
going forward to get this done.
I can't believe you put another person in there.
It's
very
On a TV dinner, you know, like a
I
TV
know,
tray is
I
what
know.
they're working on right now.
It's,
I ask every week, when's the new office gonna be finished?
yeah,
They're getting there, aren't they?
exactly.
Yes, we will.
All right, do y'all have any questions?
That's good.
All right, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Wiley to accept the audit results. We have a second from Commissioner Cresswell to accept the audit reports. Anyone have any comments or discussion on it? We think it was a good year overall. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, it is, it's almost 10 o'clock. And I want to do that one close. The solar one's going to take longer than 5 minutes, so I want to pass over that. So let's move to item number 9. Discuss and consider amended contracts regarding the tower space for the Sheriff's Office Emergency Communication System, presented by Commissioner Wiley. Just what this is talking about is the new tower that we're gonna move our equipment to.
Yes.
So Jimmy, can you give us an update on that?
What we discussed in the last time, we were gonna go ahead, we're just gonna do the sheriff's antenna, but, we've got to thinking, we've got spots in the commissioner's channel that are dead and hard to get it radio to talk back and forth, so. We've talked with them, got them to let us do the same thing up there, put our antenna, commissioner's antenna, and all of it together. The other thing that he did by going forth doing that, he just discounted the 3% increase on the 5-year contract on each one of the antennas, which that's pretty good savings in itself. We also wanted to, they okayed it to be able to put the ham radio antenna up at 300 foot. And we talked to them about doing that at the same time that we put our antenna up, and we take care of that. But he's gonna let us know all the parts and the antennas and everything are in. He's gonna get with the guys out of Oklahoma that's gonna climb it and install everything and let us know. And the sooner the better on that, so we can get this deal cut off out here.
Do we have a date when they're gonna do it yet?
He hasn't called back today yet, but as soon as he does, I'll let you know. I'm gonna let Kevin.
I need to get with Zito, and then one thing the sheriff asked me to do, the sheriff walked in, he asked me to inquire what they're gonna do with the generators at the old place, and maybe we can repurpose them if they're just gonna trash them. So that's on that.
But
So
we need to approve the new contract, we need to do.
did, that's right, because we have the new, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and then, so with this new contract, the changes to it are that they're not gonna have the escalator, you're on your escalator, and, they're gonna allow us to hook the commissioner's equipment and the ham radio in there too. Okay. Anyone have any questions on that? No, I'll entertain We have a motion from Commissioner Wiley to accept the amended contract. Do we have a second? Second from Commissioner Craig. Any discussion on this item? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right, still have a few minutes left till we get to the public hearing. Let's move to item number 12. Sorry for skipping around. Discuss and consider accepting a donation from Lane and Mary Kramer for asphalt on Rocky Mountain Road for $1,800. Commissioner Cresswell?
Yeah, whenever we was doing that hot mix lathe, we was covering up the edges and trying to fix a bunch of the spots in the road. Lane had donated a bunch of millings, 2 years ago, and it was starting to have some bad spots in it, and he made a donation while we was doing that to buy a load, and the $1,800 covers the load that he bought.
Okay. Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Cresswell. Do we have a second?
Second.
From Commissioner Shook. Any discussion on the donation of $1,800? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Still have 1 minute. Let's move to item number 13. Discuss and consider an application permit to install an entry culvert in the county road right-of-way ditch line for Galligan?
Galligan?
Yeah, you're right. Whatever corner road, I cannot say that. Commissioner Cresswell?
Yeah, down for them, they've built a new fence line there and put in new gates. And they're wanting to go ahead and put a culvert in right there at that corner where it floods up all the time. And so I make a motion that we go ahead and do this. It'll help with the drainage too.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Cresswell. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Shook. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right, it is 10 o'clock. We're going to move to item number 10, which is the 10 a.m. public hearing to discuss and consider a public hearing regarding the mass gathering permit filed by the Grand Convention and Visitors Bureau for the Crawfish and Cannons event planned for Fort Belknap on April 12, 2025, in accordance with Section 75 of the Texas Health and Safety Code. Zach is our applicant, and he's here to talk about that. And this is involving the use of the fort for the annual Crawfish and Cannons event, the partial waiver of the Fort Belknap rules, and the mass gathering permit. Hi, Zach.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us.
So tell us a little bit about the event and what y'all are wanting to do this year.
This is, I want to say, the 9th year of Crawfish and Cannons out of Fort Belknap. This year we are hoping to see about 3,000 people come out to the fort for the Good Night Loving Run first thing in the morning, followed by a crawfish boil and concert out of the fort. It's been a hugely successful event all 9 years that we've been putting that on. It started off with Jim and his wife putting together a birthday party and crawfish boil, and before too long the CVB got engaged and found that it was a very useful tactic of bringing people out to Fort Belknap, giving some civic pride to it, and showing a little bit of a profit for them as well. So last year in particular, we were able to submit about $7,500 to Fort Belknap for use in some infrastructure upgrades, such as a cover for one of the cannons, which are notoriously difficult to maintain. So that's been a really cool benefit for them, that we get to keep more of those artifacts on display year round, and just trying to keep the goodwill coming out to the fort and lots of folks staying interested in it. So the restrictions and ordinances that we are asking to lift for that day would be things such as ATV usage for our team to be able to scoot around quickly, handling trash and handling emergencies or whatever we got to get done. The alcohol restriction we're hoping to lift as well. We have a couple of vendors out there doing beer and wine, and even some Bloody Mary mix that we'll be able to use with our free vodka donation. We're asking to lift the noise ordinance as well, since we will have some live music out there, and hoping to use, of course, the county property across the street there for parking. Fires are restricted currently. We're also asking for a lift on that so that we can cook out of the fort. And solicitations, private or religious nature, are allowed, or not allowed currently, but we do have some vendors that are coming to pop up vendor displays such as things like Veterans Affairs or religious organizations, basically just saying, hey, we're here, this is what we do, here's some information about it. And I guess that's about the extent of what we're hoping to lift for this event.
Did you do the ATV restriction on there?
It's on there.
Yes, sir, it's on there.
So you did a very good job on your packet as far as detailing everything. He's asking for the exclusive use of Fort Belknap for public gathering, starting on Friday, April 11th and going through Saturday, April 12th. He's asking for the closure of FM 61 South from 7 to 11:30 a.m. on Saturday, April 12th. He's asking for the permission for the sale and consumption of alcohol within the boundaries of Fort Belknap on Saturday, April 12th. And he's asking for the temporary suspension, of Fort Belknap rules. Number 4, amplified sound. 6, fires. 7, no solicitations. 10, parking on the grass. 11, no alcoholic beverages. And 12, the suspension of the no horseback for ATVs allowed. Sheriff, do you have any concerns about the event and what they're asking for?
Absolutely not.
Jim?
Everything's good.
No?
Do what?
Jim, do you have any concerns? I know you're very supportive. I'm just-
Year number 9, I think we've got it licked. We kind of
Yeah.
figured out how to do it, so.
Does anyone in the public like to address the mass gathering permit and the Crawfish and Cannons event that's planned? I tell you, it's been incredibly successful, and it's really a neat event, and it's shocking how many out-of-county people come into the event.
They sold out last year, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. And we've added 500 tickets
So
as well.
every year that we've added more tickets, we've sold out. So for the last 4 years, we've added more, sell out, added more, sell out. And I have a hard time believing we wouldn't this year. So,
So that'd be a good deal.
Tickets available at crawfishandcannons.com, everybody.
there you go.
All right, last call for public comments on the public hearing.
You'll change anything on that parking lot here? I know when we used it for the kids do over there, it was bad. Okay.
Okay, we're gonna close the public hearing. We have a motion to approve the mass gathering permit. We have a motion for Commissioner Cresswell. Do we have a second? We have a second for Commissioner Shook. Since it's in his precinct, we'll let him have the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Crawfish and Cannons is on, 5-0.
Let's go.
All
Thank you all
right,
so
thanks,
much for your
Thad.
time.
Appreciate you. All right, let's move. And again, I'm sorry for bouncing around. We're gonna go back up the agenda to item number 8, discuss and consider Tapaderas Solar's application for the tax abatement regarding a proposed solar farm in Young County. I forgot to grab my notes. Hang on one second. So, since we last met, Tapaderas has sent a request for a tax abatement, or an application for a tax abatement to us. And let me just give you some of the highlights of what was in the request. The estimated cost of the project is $264,600,000. They're requesting a 10-year tax abatement, and they're asking for 100% abatement of the solar and battery storage facility, and then that to be replaced with a pilot payment during the abatement period. The employment impact, they're estimating 150 employees during peak construction, 1 permanent full-time employee at the end. They're estimating construction to go from the 4th quarter of 27 through the 4th quarter of 28. So just playing around with numbers, using our current tax rate, without an abatement, the estimated tax value would be $1.5 million for the first year. They're estimating the property life expectancy to be 40 to 50 years. and that the value, according to their estimate, the value at the end of the 10-year abatement would be at 25% of the original. And so that would be a $387,000 estimated tax payment at our current tax rate. So, with that being said, let me introduce Mr. Pena. Robert, how are you?
Doing well, thank you, Judge.
Come on up. And so last time you were here, you gave us a presentation on the abatement. We do have a lot of people here that are interested in this process. And just, I haven't done anything because I wanted, before I did anything, I wanted us to all discuss and see what's going on. And again, I want to remind everyone, I do have a conflict of interest on this, and I cannot vote on anything. But you have something you want to tell us a little bit more or something?
Certainly, Judge. Thank you. Again, my name is Robert Pena. I'm with Texas Energy Consultants. We're the advisement firm for Titus LTD, who is the developer of the project. And first of all, I want to thank you again for the opportunity to just visit with you regarding the project and our request for the application to move forward with it. Again, Titus is intending to develop this project out southwest Young County, west of Lysville, on property that has already been leased with the landowners. The landowners have accepted a lease agreement with the company, and they are working already towards their development process. That development process includes interconnection request with ERCOT and the Public Utilities Commission, as well as their studies, which include environmental impact, environmental assessments, and other studies that are required by rule in order for the solar project to be constructed. Titus is requesting a 10-year abatement on this project to try to remain competitive with the marketplace in the state of Texas for solar and battery energy projects. At present, I don't know if you may have seen or heard that in the last couple of months, one of the big discussions in the state of Texas has been the energy demand. And, coming up, that ERCOT announced that energy demand continues to grow, that by 2026, 2027, they would expect that we would be at peak demand for the current power generation or power supply in the state of Texas. What is causing that, obviously, is large industry, large business still locating into Texas. As you may have read and also heard, these data centers are coming into the Metroplex and to other parts of the state, and they're one of the biggest demand users of energy currently in the state of Texas also. And that is who Titus would like to propose the sale of this energy to. In fact, they are working to try to promote the sale of the power to a user like a data center or another large consumer of the energy. It could well be a utility also, but nevertheless, they are open to many of the particular options. So I think last time also Judge had mentioned, well, the power goes into the grid and it gets redefined, to be sent up to the Metroplex and things of that nature. And in essence, it almost does, but there really isn't a long extension cord that runs out in that direction, for the lack of a better description. What really happens is the Public Utilities Commission sees a facility producing power like this here in Young County, and they redial the power flow so that usually what does wind up happening is a lot of that power remains in the region for consumption in the region. The good advantage to Young County or the communities of Young County is that the battery energy storage system that would be established here would help sustain the grid here at the local level, because then the immediate power of the battery goes into the grid and it gets consumed here as opposed to it being consumed somewhere in the Metroplex. But nevertheless, you know, the competitive nature of the project is such that an abatement might save the company a few $1 million over the 10-year period. Over the 20-year period, 30-year period, and Judge Graham was pretty much on target with some of those numbers, is that Titus would still pay upwards of $20 million to the county. That's excluding the school district, that it would pay significantly as well. And I believe the county hospital district, the hospital district goes to full county. So we are including full payment to the hospital district as well. But what it helps a project like Tapaderos and Titus do is that by remaining competitive, we mean that when they're able to save a couple of $1 million, that price point might change by 0.2 of a penny. And when you're looking at 20 years of, you know, production of 150, 200 megawatts, when you calculate that 0.2 of a penny over 200 megawatts over 20 or 30 years, it adds up to several $1 million price difference. And competitively speaking, Titus is not only looking to beat out other producers of the energy, but also other solar projects as well. Because as an independent consultant, we can tell you there are still numerous projects being developed in the state of Texas, and they will be competitive in nature to these projects. So that's the purpose of really trying to help the company assist the company with the abatement in the competitive nature. The advantage to Young County and to the community would be that it would be a large, probably one of the single largest investments made in Young County that would be a large taxpayer to the community and would help also contribute to the growth and development of the county through that development. Titus also prides itself in being a good community partner. You know, you spoke of this event here earlier today, you know, sponsoring things like that, sponsoring scholarships with the local school district, and being involved in the community is something that they would like to do as well. So creating a partnership is the intent, but overall that is, you know, the concept and the idea behind the abatement. What all those final numbers come out to be is the reason that Titus is asking to engage with a counsel or an attorney of your choice, and that Titus would also make whole and reimburse the county for that cost, so that the county nor the citizens are out of that money. And in doing so, they can advise you appropriately going forward on the abatement, the amounts, and what you would like to see in terms of a pilot payment, and then be able to make a fully informed decision. We don't want you to just take it on our word. We want you to be able to hire that independent counsel and reimburse the county for that time that.
If we did agree to move forward with the abatement, would you send that to us in writing so we had the commitment to reimburse?
Yes, and again, just engaging your counsel is a step forward. It doesn't obligate or commit the commissioner's court in any fashion whatsoever. I want to be clear of that. You can still say no at any process along the way. The second thing that it does is that it also requires us to create a reinvestment zone. That reinvestment zone is required by the state of Texas for the purposes of identifying that legal description of property with the local appraisal district as having contained the abatement, so that every year the appraiser will have identified that property to make sure they conduct a proper appraisal. And the county is required to submit annual abatement reports to the state of Texas as well. Again, that is by law, and it all falls under the statute 312 created by the state of Texas, again by the state of Texas to induce new investment into the state, into the communities, and that's why we're asking, follow that rule and seek your counsel along the way.
Have y'all done an environmental study yet?
It is still underway.
It has started?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Your substation could be in the footprint of what you got laid out in there.
Correct. In the maps that were provided within the application, it would fall all within that footprint.
Will you be providing us with a copy of the environmental study when it's complete?
We can, yes, sir.
I think I'd like to be interested to see her. Listening to our president speak, he doesn't seem as excited about solar as the previous administration. Is there some concern that some of the federal subsidies or credits, or I don't know exactly how it works, but the federal help might disappear for a project like this?
I mean, it could, Judge, I can't, I wish I had a crystal ball in front of me to be able to tell you. We're going at it just day by day and approaching it as if it were a new day today, and continuing to see if the news changes, then the news changes. But at present, we're approaching every step of the way as a regular day. So.
Are you seeing in Texas any counties not granting abatements for solar projects?
It's probably more wind.
Mhm.
But, we're from Pecos County over all the way to Young County. Our firm currently has probably about a dozen abatements in front of other county commissions that we're, either having passed or going through the process.
Mhm.
And
Have you had anyone tell you no yet?
No, not yet. Not in these dozen or so. Like I said, I did have a wind project right now, but folks are feeling more, sentiment about wind because of the visual aspect and things like that. So.
Are you seeing anyone who is saying they would entertain an abatement, do less than a 10-year abatement? Or are you seeing everyone do a 10-year abatement?
In essence, I'll be upfront with you. Currently in Mitchell County, we have an abatement that is slated to be a 10-year abatement on a solar project. But because the project is depreciated, as you mentioned, it is a asset, so it has to be depreciated under state rule, under general accounting practices. And that depreciation in Mitchell County is causing the project to be a net 7 or 8 year abatement.
Mhm.
However, because the way it is structured with a pilot payment, the county actually wins by receiving the same pilot payment even in year 7, in year 8, and year 9, that is in excess of the abatement that is being given.
Yeah, I know the depreciation goes from about 100% down to 25% over a 10-year period. Is it consistent, that step down, or is it accelerated more to the front? Do you know how the year-on-year depreciation's calculated?
No, it follows the general accounting practice of a consistent depreciation to year
Okay.
10. And that's actually also by state law.
That's by state law?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The state legislature set forth that percentage abatement for solar projects specifically. So we have to follow the rule of the law. And in fact, in Young County, and again, looking at preliminary numbers, with the depreciation, let's say in year 8, the project would pay $537,000 in taxes, and then if it were abated, it would still pay $500,000 in pilot payments. It's only a $37,000 difference in savings to the company.
What would it do in year 2?
Because of depreciation, it goes from, it goes down to like 1.4, 1.3, and then it reduces on down. But eventually, like I say, it flips over to where it's almost paying the same tax as it is immediately.
So I just, using that, it decreased, using our current tax rate, the county would lose $116,000 a year in tax revenue, assuming the same tax rate year on year, from year 1 to year 10. And then what you're saying is that once it gets to that 25%, it kind of levels out in value and kind of stays there?
Correct.
Okay. That'd be pretty easy to build a schedule of what it looks like.
And I hate to use the word lose, but what the county is giving $116,000 in terms of an abatement in order to induce the long-term investment of $20 million in taxes over the 30-year period.
So where you're located, the Elliceville Volunteer Fire Department would be primary first responder for, fires and emergencies took place. Would y'all have any plans to help them with equipment and stuff because, I mean,
Judge,
I would assume it would benefit you on a
My gosh, Judge,
insurance basis.
I'm glad you're telling me this because we're learning as we go as well. Is the fire department a taxing district in that region?
It is not.
It is not.
We're completely volunteer
Okay.
right now. We do not have emergency service district.
So as an example, in Mitchell County, we've agreed to help them with training programs to learn more
Mhm.
about how to be educated on how they're gonna respond to a battery or solar situation. It's not really the solar farm that would cause a emergency for fire or hazmat or anything like that. It might be an inverter or a transformer, which is typical. They're exactly the same transformers that we see here in the county right now. But the battery is a little bit different because the battery is self-contained in a container. They now require to have fire suppression systems in there as well. So they would be responding to something that would be fire suppression already. But nevertheless, it has its own issues that we would be glad to assist with training and assist with equipment.
So
That's
it's all volunteer, I mean, you don't know who's gonna get to show up on those fires.
Correct.
And this would be more like one of the, electric cars burning on the side of the highway, and it would be, and you can't hardly put them out other than smother.
So again, Commissioner, training as much as we can with those volunteers and with equipment as well.
Equipment's what, the training, what you will find is we have a very enthusiastic group and we show up in force training. That will be well attended. Equipment's where we need help.
And that's exactly what we're doing in Mitchell County as well. So we'd be glad to do the same here.
So they are putting suppression system. Is it, powder suppression?
I don't know exactly for sure, Commissioner. I'll ask the company and have an answer for you.
Probably, if those had bids in them, they probably have a situation where you're gonna close the bids, put all their, dump all that stuff in there and just let somebody stuff out. So that's gonna be the one you
Yeah,
have to pay.
I'll find out from the company or have them back here to help you understand.
Yes, sir.
And did I hear you correctly that you are not gonna ask any of the hospital districts for an abatement?
That is correct. And I believe there's a college district as well.
There is a college district,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
So to the school district would be paid 2.7 annually. And I'm sorry, in the first year, and then it goes down to about $1 million after that with the depreciation. To the hospital would be 700,000 initially, and then it goes down to 250 with the depreciation. And Judge, do you have a FM road or lateral road tax?
No.
No.
Okay.
But if it does go through, we still need, if you're using county roads, there should be a service
Yes,
there.
sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, and as I mentioned last time, if there is a use of county roads, we'll be glad to address that with you through an agreement that reimburses the county or pays for them upfront.
I think we do have a lot of people here interested in this topic. Is there anybody who would like to ask a question, please? I know this isn't a public forum, but we have a lot of people interested.
I'll try to answer as best I can.
If you allow me, I have several questions.
Yes.
In your discussion about fire department, I was a Murray volunteer fire. And actually, that line where we have is sort of split right there. Murray has got a bigger portion of that.
I'm glad you told me that. I just assumed it was a lot of stuff.
That it sort of goes back down over to Murray Cemetery Road, so. And one of the things, Commissioner Wiley made in the statement that you don't put out lithium batteries with water. And this self-containment that you're speaking of, first rule of thumb, don't open the door. Because you're gonna have what I have referred to in my question. Are you familiar with the term called thermal runaway?
No, sir.
That's when the lithium batteries overheat to the point where they can't be cooled down. And it's usually due to a damage that the battery has sustained, which could be hail. And I think we've all seen, you may not have seen it, but we have softball size hail out in this part of the country, which would pretty much destroy anything in its path. So that, or being able to cool those batteries with 110-degree temperature out in there. So, you know, those are the considerations that's gonna have to be made. My main interest in speaking to you and asking these questions is this solar farm comes right up to my east boundary line. And I live about less than a half a mile from where this is all going in. I've been there since 2007, and that is gonna be my home forever. We live there full time. We have other residents that are directly across the road. Todd and Brian Foreman, they couldn't be here, I don't think, because they were having to work. But they expressed a great concern on this. As much as the solar farm is for this battery thing that's gonna go in and have, 200 megawatts. I mean, that's nearly the capacity of the whole farm being able to store those batteries. And that's a grave concern about where those batteries are gonna be located in this footprint of the farm. Can you, have that been figured out yet?
The precise location has not, sir. There is a high line that runs by there, which is, or through there, which is the place of interconnect. Typically in these developments, you may see within your maps or within the maps that the boundary may go to the edge of the property, but not necessarily the development does. We're just showing what's been leased by legal description at this point, okay? There's still a lot of brush in the area that will be utilized as buffers and for site visual reduction purposes. That is the intent of the company. It is usually the intent of most solar farms. Now, the battery, what will need to be developed here will be a substation that will gather the power from the solar facility, and then it gets transferred over to high lines, and then it goes into the grid from there. Development-wise, usually the substations are within the center of the project area, because then all the lines that interconnect the solar power are kind of home run into one general area. So to say that it would be placed in the extreme in the northeast or the southeast is almost out of context, because then you have to run all your lines over in one direction, causing too many lines too long. So typically where the substation is located is also where the battery station is going to be located as well. So it'll be closer to the high line, it'll be closer. I'm sorry I can't speak more in detail to the battery because it's not my profession, it's not my expertise. I'm more of the finance guy. But what I can tell you is that we have learned that now that they're constructed as, and what I mean by self-contained is, and I'll have to bring photos for everyone next time, or ask the company to bring photos, but the batteries go into, for the lack of a better description, like a large Connex box. The large Connex box, a metal container, or like a shipping container, you know? So the system is within this box, so is the fire suppression, so is the cooling system. Everything is placed in this box now.
Is that literally, that's about as tall as a shipping container?
Correct. They're about as tall as a shipping container. So, you know, they're structured and designed this way for safety reasons, but also for the reasons of the functionality of everything within. So even a large hailstorm hitting on the batteries themselves is not likely, but it would be hitting this exterior shell structure of the size of a shipping container.
they've still got to be cooled, right?
Yes, sir, but they have their systems within that box as well.
Well, and speaking of that, and I believe they call that a BESS system, B-E-S?
Yes, BESS stands for Battery Energy Storage System.
And those have to be cooled by fans, and then there's inverters that convert that electricity from the solar farm DC to AC.
There are inverters within the solar farm and within the battery system.
Can you tell us what, how many decibels that those inverters and those fans, cooling fans are going to generate?
I do not know right off the top of my head, sir. I will ask the development team to provide us with that information. And I'll send it to the Commissioner's Court to share with you.
You mentioned tell me if I'm thinking of.
No, this is perfect.
You mentioned that the environmental impact study
Yes.
has been started. Do they do that in-house, or do they do that with an independent?
Independent.
Independent.
Yes, sir.
How long does that generally take?
It usually takes about 8 to 12 months because they have to incorporate seasons or periods of natural wildlife as well.
That would lead to my next question or statement, is the impact of the wildlife and the patterns of the migrating birds that come in through there, and how they're gonna be reacting to that. One of our neighbors, Larry Fedora, just bought that property, which was the old South Cutshaw, that y'all know that, and he spent many thousands of dollars building a duck pond with about 5 acres. And when I talked to him, one of his concerns, he says when those ducks start migrating down and see that solar farm, they're gonna turn to go the other way. So that's a concern. The dove that we have each year, which is a pretty good industry in Young County, is for dove. And the clear cut of all the land that's gonna take place in most of this 2,200 acres is gonna dislodge a lot of these, the deer, the fox, the quail, what limited quail that we have out there. I know there's some, I see one every once in a while, or hear one every once in a while, but that's a concern on those things. So in doing that environmental impact study, we'd be very interested in how much concentration they do on that impact of the wildlife, plus the degradation of all the trees and the environmental impact on possibly the erosion of the soil coming back, and what you're gonna do to mitigate.
So if I may comment on some of those good points that you brought up, sir. First of all, you did mention the 2,200 acres. To give you an idea of the utilization of the 2,200 acres, because I did say we leave a buffer, and it's not any small buffer by any means. This particular project will probably utilize about 1,400 of the 2,200 acres. That means it will incorporate an average of those 700 or 800 acres as buffer area or setbacks or other easements or right-of-ways, okay? The very purpose of the environmental study is to do exactly what you just mentioned. And if I may, again, use Mitchell County as an example. Our environmental study found that there was a lot of quail in the region. We also found that there was a lot of great hunters in the region, you know, and me being from South Texas and enjoying the quail hunting also, you know, we realize it can make an impact. So what we've done is we've engaged in Mitchell County with the 4-H and the Texas Parks and Wildlife and the conservation, why am I going blank now? It's that federal program that does the CRP lands and the other, that office. USDA, thank you, in Mitchell County. We can do the same as we've done there and engage with them. What we're actually doing is creating more well habitat with box development or other types of habitat that we are leaving in the area of non-developed solar panels. And we're creating more quail habitat to encourage the growth of the development of the quail there, because that's one of the primary species. So the purpose for our study is not only to understand the impact, but also to try to better it as we're doing in Mitchell County. You know, we had a group in Mitchell County approach us. They're called the Garden Club of Colorado City. And they said, well, why can't we do some wildflower, you know, things out there along the roadways and in the easements and things like that. So we're incorporating some of that as well, you know, because that encourages other potential. The other thing that we do is, once we understand the impact of the wildlife, then we also do create wildlife corridors, so that any ground animals can traverse appropriately and not be detained or completely removed. The final thing that I'll say about the solar panels is that they're non-reflective. So they don't have any reflective glass on them anymore. The new technology is non-reflective because, number one, we want to absorb 100% of the solar, you know, but it also makes a significant impact from anything from dragonflies to birds to even aircraft. And when we go through our FAA reviews, then we also have to prove how that non-glare, non-reflective panel is going to be non-evasive from aircraft down to the dragonflies. You know.
Well, listen, I'm glad you brought up that point, because that was my next one, is that I know that DICE and Shepherd Air Force Base have a lot of trainers that come across, that sometimes they'll come right across my house at a pretty low altitude.
Yeah.
But that was a concern, you know, if they have this buffer zone, can you say how wide that will be?
You know, I don't know yet, because again, I'm not part of the development team, sir. But I'd be more than glad to put one of the developers in touch with you to help you understand more of that issue. Yeah.
One other thing I'll sit down, do you know if Titus plans to expand this development after it's put in and enough, will they grow that at that location?
I don't know, and the reason I can say I don't know is, again, not being part of the development team, I can't tell you what they're thinking for the future, but I can tell you this from, you know, 20 years of doing this for different solar companies, is that high line does have its natural limitations. So if I know Titus right now, they're probably going to produce what they can inject into that high line without any further additions or requirements, as well as they're probably not going to do any less, because then they don't want somebody else to come in and overstep, you know, the injection of their capacity. So they're likely going to develop what they can inject into the system and then complete it as a whole. But down the road, I couldn't tell you, but again, I'll be more than glad to have that conversation with you and with them together so that you can understand it and hear it directly from them.
And do y'all have permission to go into ERCOT right now, into the grid?
Yes, sir, that initial request has already been made.
But has it been approved?
No, it's not fully approved yet, but it's going through the process.
The only thing else I would say with the pending environmental impact study and the other things that he's brought up, I would encourage the commissioners to at least table this abatement, if not turn it down until they can provide those environmental impact and what it's going to do to our part of the county. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have you ever seen, I got a question for you.
I'm sorry.
Come in and touch on him, but yes, what? I'm sorry, do you want to say something else?
No.
Oh, no, I had a question for him.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Have you ever been asked by a county to provide a cleanup bond, you know, in case, for whatever reason, y'all became insolvent and walked away from the project? Have y'all ever issued a cleanup bond to the county?
They are issued on every project.
I know you do the landowners, but if you ever do one to the county?
No, not to a county specifically.
Okay.
They're done to the landowners. They're provided to the landowners on every project.
Okay.
Because they are the title holder of the land.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And then, what, can those bonds become insolvent, or they?
No, sir, they're like any other
They're
standard
like
bond.
an insurance company?
Yes,
or
sir.
something like that?
They're gone out, they're A-rated, they're held by a significant group like,
Okay.
you know, S&P or what's that big insurance group, European name, I forget.
Lloyd's.
Lloyd's. Mhm.
Okay.
So they're very significant bond holders that have to be, and again, that's because, again, state law requires it, so we're following the letter of
That's
the law.
That's law, okay.
Mhm.
All right,
It is
Tom?
state law.
I got
Do you have a question, Tom?
I just have a couple of comments.
Okay.
One question.
Yes, sir.
In the event that there was a fire, you know how wind carries sparks, you got a big range fire, who's liable for that?
The,
The reason I asked that question, I was involved in second largest grass fire in the state of Texas district, burning 2,000 acres over in Chaco County, and we didn't get anything. But, the reason I mentioned, if y'all have any, you have like a common carrier, you have any business for that?
yes, sir. If I may share, the battery system is contained, that's the reason it is contained in a or called self-contained.
But in the
because-
event there was a fire, and the wind blew the sparks, and took off and burned the lights field, or
The only thing that we can think of that would cause a fire would be a transformer, just like any other transformer here in the area, sir. You know, but again,
and you dig into that.
again, it would be identified to determine who owned that transformer. If it was on the substation, it could be the utility. If it was a transformer to the solar project, then the solar project would be responsible, and they have their insurances in place and everything.
You know, that right? Because
It wasn't right, I don't know.
that they would be responsible, the solar farm was responsible for causing the fire.
That actually has to be provided to the landowner, sir. We provide it in our lease agreements.
Okay. Well, maybe the county too, because the fire department's one that put it out. Anyway, okay, I'll leave that alone. You say you don't know about the expansion.
Likely not, but I don't know, sir.
Well, there's one that went in over here in South Jack County, Perrin, it's under construction now. But right before it started construction, another company came in, leased 11,000 acres, right in that same area. Now they're trying to put them together. And there's a little more to the story. 11,000 acres, they're in the third year of lease payments for the landowners. They're in the original 2 of those years, and they got another coming up in July. So, how do you guarantee the landowners, if you move forward, that they're gonna get their payments?
The landowners get their payments through the lease agreement, whether it's year 1 or year 3 or year 10. That agreement stipulates that landowner will continue to receive payments as soon as, you know, from day 1 when that agreement is signed.
No point in making this, when we put the first 2,000 acres, there was no mention of any expansion. And now, it's 2 companies coming together as one. So, it's probably, more than likely, it's about the same size as this one, started, 2,000 acres. Now it's gonna be 13,000.
Can't speak to it because I'm not advising them, sir.
Well, nobody can, nobody knows.
But I can share with you that the limitations of this line, it does have power limitations, and Titus is filling that need, that power limitation at this point. Now, should it change later with the utility, I can't speak to that, or neither could Titus for that matter, because the utility could change the capacities of that line by adding another line or adding.
What you're saying is a lot of questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I'm Jared Tucker, I'm the Texas Division of Emergency Management. Our county emergency manager can't be here right now. But I had some questions as far as, while you were talking, I was texting other liaison officers throughout the state who have solar farms, and no one's been able to see a copy of the emergency operations procedures for response to incidences at these farms. Is that something y'all can provide to us so that we can see, you know, what you're preparing for as far as concerned facilities, you can also prepare for that?
Jared, I'll be more than glad to pass this along to the company. Typically, the emergency operation procedures is gonna come when the design has already been created and done, and then advise them that they would want to coordinate with you and the other emergency response folks here. Typically, it has been my experience, as I said, I've been this 20 years now, that even before they start construction, when they will come to the county and start setting forth. So design, they'll come forward, have that discussion, and then before construction starts, have another discussion to ensure that they remain on the same page, and then even have an emergency response plan for construction because of all the people that are out there.
So by requirement of the law from the state, that the county is, has to have an emergency operations plan, different annexes, and it covers different situations. So with the solar farm coming in and the hydrogen and everything, we have to work those into our plans. So knowing exactly what's gonna be out there, what the hazards are, will allow us to put that in the county plans that we can comply with law as well.
If I need to give you a reference to the fire marshal in Hidalgo County, we went through that last year with them on a project as well. So again, prior to construction, design plan, submitted, reviewed, meetings, and then right before construction as well. So everybody remained aligned on the emergency response.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Jerry.
When y'all take land into a solar farm, it's a no graze area, right? Y'all take it out of farm use, it's no longer able to be grazed.
That is correct.
And so you don't have any livestock on it to keep the grasses down.
Actually, I don't know if you've heard or seen lately there, and that's one of the things we're starting to incorporate into the environmental plan, is there is sheep grazing. That's become very popular with solar farms now.
But
And
to say though, if you don't have a sheep farmer around there close and don't get the contracts with the sheep farmer, then you got grass problems, you got, issues of that nature. But say, y'all don't want cattle on there.
no, sir.
Do y'all fence the whole thing from one end to the other to make sure that we don't have a cow get in there? And then if you do, who do you get to get it off? Do y'all have people there, or do you hire a cowboy to come in?
No, sir. No, it's designed so that large animals like cattle cannot get in there, okay? But then we also create corridors that I talked about to allow bobcats or coyotes or other small animals to run through there, so that they remain in their natural habitat. But for grazing like large animals, no, sir. It is the responsibility of the project company to maintain the grasses, and they will work with the landowner to be able to do this. And that is, again, part of the lease agreement that they enter into. So, fortunately, the company has had landowners step forward and say, we'd like to do some kind of sheep grazing or other types of maintenance programs that help along the way.
Okay, how does that affect it on the taxing end? Because if you take it out of agriculture and then try to put it back in, that's.
So it's better for you as the county commissioners, as the county, because it actually gets changed to industrial value along with the solar project. That's part of the $260, $280 million value that we calculate. So it does change from ag value to industrial value, but it's the responsibility of the government to pay all that tax. Okay. Now, when the project is completed, let's say 30 or 35 years from now, the bonds go in and remove all the facilities off the land, then the landowner and the company work with the appraisal district to conduct a review and get that back into ag value incentive. Okay. That's the experience that we're already starting to have with old wind farms, actually.
So you haven't had any issues with cattle getting into any of your solar farms?
Not that I'm aware of, sir.
Okay. You're doing better than I have. I can't even like a garden spot that they can't get in.
To give an idea is when it goes from ag, which on that 2,200 acres, probably they're paying $400 a year as exemption tax on that. So it's gonna go back in, you can see the difference.
Okay, we
In that, it's gonna be a lot of difference in that.
Yes, sir.
See, they've gotta pay 3 years back taxes.
That is
on top of
correct.
that, which makes a difference. That'll put another infusion in us on top of that.
That is correct, yes.
That's just on land, it doesn't have.
Just on land.
Council for.
Yes.
Did you want to add something?
You talking about, will there be a chain link fence, tall chain link fence around this entire 2,200 acres?
There will be some form of fencing. I've seen different types, sir, but I'd have to ask the developer exactly what type of fencing they're building.
And you gotta consider feral hogs too. Not only will cattle get in there, but feral hogs will get in there, and what you thought was in the ground is gonna be out of the ground.
I've seen telephone poles out of the ground because of feral hogs.
Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just have a couple of, number one is, how can we get a copy of the impact study when you receive that?
Is it a public document?
Once we issue to you, it becomes public document.
Yeah, so if I'd be happy to give you a copy of it if you remind me about it when I get it.
Check it with your next meeting, or?
No, it'll be a while before.
How long does it take you to get that?
Well, they've already started it, so I'll ask and see how
And
much.
is it like
each time they have
60
left.
days type of deal, or?
No.
Longer than that?
It's usually like 6 months, but they've been out for a little bit already.
Just email me or call me, and when I get it, I'll be happy to email you.
It's not gonna start tomorrow, where then it's gonna be 6 months from now, sir, so they could very well have it soon. I'll check with them.
Something else you probably said, when exactly would we expect construction to start?
In the application, they've stated that it would be Q4 of 2027.
Yes.
Approximately.
That's what it said.
And the reason for that long lead time is because ERCOT and the PUC, all that process is usually upwards of 18 months. And that's really the primary reason.
I appreciate Mr. Cresswell bringing up the situation with the roads. I'm not sure if the traffic for this project is gonna be coming from FM 209 from the north coming in, or from Ellisville from the south.
Some,
Don't know, sir. What happens is when it does near construction, the company will be required to submit their traffic plan to TxDOT for review and approval. At that point, then TxDOT is the one who's gonna dictate which roads will be utilized up to the point of a county road, if any. Then once we get to county road, we're gonna work with you on that process.
right, well, I mean, I've watched what the solar farm did over in Jack County to, Rock Creek Road, and it's a mess. And that's just to say the least, it's a mess.
The thing about it is, the most serious thing that we're gonna bring in that solar farm is gonna be the batteries, containers. That's the heaviest thing.
Well, they continuously haul rock on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
oversized rock, oversized everything, they're bringing in all that. I mean, it's gonna tear county road to shreds, let alone the state highway.
Well, the state highway, that's what they're supposed to say in the first meeting, they're gonna come off the highway, 578.
That's why we have the requirement of going to TxDOT first.
Yes.
So this is the county road?
Talking right off 578, yeah, being county road as well.
No, but it's still part of the state highways.
State-
Where we may have to engage with the county is once we come off, the county right of, the state right of way, if there is any county right of way, then we'll have to discuss culverts or any additional items like that too, sir. But, first, again, we have to work through TxDOT to tell us what they want the plan to do.
Yeah.
As an example, I had one client, 2 years ago, have to repave 2-inch asphalt, almost 8 miles. So whatever TxDOT says has to be done.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, thank
Listen, one more question, if you don't mind. And I'd like to hear your comments on this. Do y'all give any consideration to the mitigation of the adjoining property owner, that property, and the quality of their life, any put a value on that?
In terms of mitigation, describe what you think.
Value of the property, plus the quality of their life, what kind of value do you put on that?
We don't, sir. What I mean by that is we haven't encountered or had to encounter a situation to calculate value on a neighboring property or neighboring landowner.
Do you think it does or doesn't mitigate?
Sir,
Yeah, you know that answer.
as a consultant,
You know that answer.
okay, I'll give it to you straight up. As a consultant, I don't advise my client one way or another because that's not what I'm engaged to do.
Well, I'm just asking your opinion.
My personal opinion is when we've done appraisal reviews in years after, we have not seen a detrimental effect on property values.
Should you do a copy of the appraisal?
I'd be more than glad to find them for you, yes, sir.
We went through this on the blue farm out there, Throckmorton, remember? Natural appraisals. They just could send us one show that they said better. But they sent me some paperwork, and there was an appraisal that said that.
I hadn't mentioned this to you, but before I walk out, I was gonna give you my business card, so you and I can stay in touch, yes, sir.
Get those up front.
I'd be more than glad to work on it for you, sir. Yes, sir.
Anyway, assuming it does, do y'all have any ability or willingness to work with the landowners to compensate them?
Oh, yeah. Let me give you my card, so that we can stay in touch as we go forward, and
Well,
also
I'm not-
starting to share
I'm
those
not a landowner.
appraisals.
I was raised out there. My family has land in that area, in the appraisals. And some people built their retirement homes out there. And not Palm Springs, but sure, it's here, it's a good part of the world.
Well, and we're not a big industrial power plant that's gonna be seen from miles away, but we also wanna make, a good community, a partnership with everybody.
You'll be able to throw a rock to it from his house.
Please.
Good morning. My name is Vicki Johnson. I'm a retired school teacher, and I've taught government for 32 years. So, to me, this is government, once again, getting into the private lives of citizens. And so, I'll tell you right up front, I'm against you being out here, but I'm against the wind farms that are out here too. And I understand energy, I do. But I was born and raised in Texas City where oil was the dominant economic factor in our county. So I understand energy. But when I came out here, this was heaven on earth. I am 28 miles from Graham. I'm 17 miles from Breckenridge. So if I have to go anywhere, I have to go and make it a plan to be there. More so for Graham because of the medical facilities. My concern is twofold. Number one, my family. Because when we bought this land, it had nothing on it, nothing. And we scratched and worked that land, we built our home, and it's the best you're gonna find out there. This is gonna go to our grandkids, who cannot wait. Our children are 50 years old, they're looking to retire at 60, they wanna get out here. I don't know that it'll be here. I don't know that they'll want to be here. That's my concern. They will not know the enjoyment of raising kids and having goats and cattle and all that other stuff out here. That's my biggest concern. But let me inform you of two other things. The road in front of us, 1974, no less than 7 oil trucks go up and down that road every day to get to the facilities that hold the oil that is pumped out of the ground to take that. Now, those oil trucks, they're heavy. And I'm not saying they do a whole lot of damage, but they do some damage on those roads. And we, as landowners, have to be accustomed to where the potholes are gonna be, where the loose asphalt's gonna be. We are constantly looking at those roads. I have 3 chips in my windshield with my brand new car. I understand that, and I accept that. The same thing when we go down to the road to Breckenridge, 578, 578. I understand that. Then you bring all of these folks in to start working on this property. I have to confront, might also add, there are children who go on, sometimes I see school buses, but there are parents who bring their children to the Woodson School down our road. So we have kids from Brandon that go to the Woodson School as well. There's a lot of traffic on our road, more so than people would realize. My other concern is the Elizaville Fire Department is not where the Elizaville Fire Department used to be. It is now on the Breckenridge Highway. Murray Fire Department is what, maybe 10 miles from our home, 8 to 10 miles. When there's a fire, who's gonna get there first? It's the Murray Fire Department. Every single dollar we have with the Murray Fire Department is a donation. Every single dollar. We get nothing from the county. We have to have everything. And so if there's a fire, Murray's gonna be the one to respond. And our trucks are in short supply. We just got a brand new truck, and we only get those brand new trucks because of the fundraisers that we have. Those fundraisers come from people, I would say probably, we had 225 people who showed up at our fundraiser this year, the most we've ever had. I would say at least a third, if not a little more than that, were deer hunters. When you start eliminating the flow of the deer coming into our county and coming into that part of the world, we rely on those deer hunters because they lease that land, and by golly, they put in the money because they do not want that property to be destroyed by fires and injuries. One other thing, my husband mentioned hailstorms. What he did not mention is the threat of tornadoes. My husband and I are trained weather spotters. What's gonna happen when we see that weather, when we see those clouds start coming out from the west? Who's gonna be out there at the solar farm? We're not. That's not our responsibility. But we have to call it in. What's gonna happen when those windstorms come in? Because they will. In the spring, they will come in. I don't know if you're aware of the weather out here.
We are very aware because that weather studies is part of the whole development process. And what I can tell you is that it's no different than West Texas when there's strong winds and tornadoes in West Texas, or in Knox County where this company is developing in Knox County as well. And I can tell you that the systems have a weather system embedded in place to be notified of major events, tornadic activity, or high winds. And then the response of those systems kicks in so that the solar panels are levelized so that the wind flow goes right through them as opposed to being at an angle that can rip them right off. Now, at the end of the day,
Have you seen that? Have you seen that?
yes, ma'am.
You know that's happening.
Because they're set on a single axis tracker system, and that tracker system is so they can follow the sun throughout the day, but it is also so they can minimize and flatten out for large weather happenings. If a hailstorm is coming down, then they're gonna go at an angle so that they minimize this hail damage. If it's super strong winds, then they flatten out so that the winds will flow above and below it and minimize damage as well. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's a doghouse or a wind turbine or, a large radio antenna. Tornadic activity is gonna tear all of that down. And that, that's just a force of nature that can't be controlled. But we try to minimize it as much as possible through these operational systems.
But along with the wind, you've got trees. Those trees are gonna be uprooted, and those trees are gonna be airborne.
We're gonna
There's gonna
leave
be
a lot
lots
of trees in
there's
too,
gonna-
though.
There's gonna be, well, we got lots of trees out there. You might be able to eliminate the trees on that 2,200 acres, but around us,
And as I mentioned, Cookie, we're not gonna eliminate all 2,200 acres. You know, we're not gonna flatten it out. We have to leave natural vegetation in place. in
I'm
a lot of
talking about
areas.
the trees to the west. They're gonna get uprooted, that's a promise.
As far as the roads, as I mentioned earlier, we have to go through TxDOT now. It's a requirement.
But your traffic, confining those oil trucks, you know, that's not my problem. But I'm just telling you, if you think that this country road doesn't have a lot of traffic, there is a lot of traffic out
No,
there.
I believe you, but again, that's why we have to follow the mitigation plan that TxDOT imposes upon us. Okay, for the heavy trucks, for the big truck traffic, okay? Individual worker traffic, trucks, and F-150, F-250, what have you, is gonna be traversing down that road anyway, you know, on a daily basis. But the heavy truck traffic, the most dangerous truck traffic, all that gets mitigated through TxDOT.
Okay,
And that's a requirement of the project.
my last question is school payments. I've been in districts where schools have been promised millions of dollars over the course of years. I've been in 7 different school districts. I've heard it happen. The result is, it goes, not necessarily for the kids, it goes for the buildings, it goes for more school buses, it goes for other things. You know, they say it goes for the schools. And I'm not gonna go up to the superintendent's office and ask them, how are you doing this? It's gonna be visible, we're gonna be able to tell. I'm just saying that, to say that it's gonna go to the school districts,
I think it goes to the state of Texas now. I don't think it goes to the schools anymore. I think it goes to the state.
We are required by law, again, you're a taxpayer, we become a taxpayer. Just like you pay your taxes to the county and to the school district and to the hospital district and all that, we will be required to do the same thing. That's what we're saying. We already know what we're going to have to pay. What happens with that money after that? We don't know. We can't control the school board, we can't control the state. All I can tell you, Ms. Cookie, is that we are gonna pay the taxes, and the requirement would be the amounts I mentioned earlier. Okay? After that, I wish I could tell you, but we're not paying it directly to the school district either. We are a taxpayer that would pay their taxes just like everybody else.
and in the state of Texas, the taxpayers are responsible for paying for the schools. But we've got a governor who's pushing for something else, and that's my fear, is that the state is then gonna take the money they get from you guys and put it, not necessarily.
And I wish I could
I
say
know you
otherwise,
can't do
but
anything
we're
about
just
it,
gonna pay
but
our tax
still.
the way everybody else does.
But still, it's gonna come down to that. This whole, I am just so opposed to this for so many different reasons, as you can tell. And I hope that we consider.
And I know I won't change your mind, but I can at least tell you that we will make the efforts that we talked about. We will pay our taxes as a taxpayer. We will follow the TxDOT road plan as prescribed. And we do follow the weather systems that are required for the solar facilities. That's all.
I'll hold you to that.
Thank you.
All right. We're gonna have more meetings on this at some point. Do you have a quick one? Oh,
What school
okay.
district is this good gentleman with?
It's actually, we're looking at that now, but it looks like it also splits Graham and Woodson. Yes, sir. I think there's a small portion in Woodson from where I saw. Judge, if I may, I would like to thank everyone for taking the time to listen and allowing me to answer your questions. And I hope that we can continue the conversation going forward. I have my business cards and I'd like to share those with you because this is the way Titus operates. They're about, you know, getting to know everything and everybody. We've learned a lot more today. And with that, I'll thank the the judge and the commissioner's court for informing us further. So we appreciate it.
Okay.
Again, all we ask is that we can continue moving forward in the discussion.
So, what do we want to do? So,
Well, the first thing we have to do in this situation, we have to put in a lessons before we go forward or anything else. What we can do is table this today, and we'll talk about the reinvestment zone, get all that part done.
when do you think an environmental study would be completed?
I'll have to ask and find out for sure.
I think that's an interesting comment, the environmental studies, see that. Were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, again, and in order to do your reinvestment zone, if you felt the need to seek legal counsel for that, again, that's what we're in agreement with you.
Yes, sir.
Again, we are obligating ourselves to reimburse the county. For
Well, I
that.
think we need to get legal counsel from Allison Bass and McGee on solar farms that they've dealt with so far. And then, get that environmental study done, and then we're gonna have to have a footprint so we can do the reinvestment zone.
Well, the footprint, from what they've done for us in the past, we go with whatever the footprint is what they've got laid out for the land that they
The
have.
legal description.
The legal description.
Are required for that.
That's the only thing they're required as far as the reinvestment zone goes. So that part's already been taken care of as far as that. You don't wanna go any more than what it is, you wanna keep it within that area, because it affects everything around the reinvestment zone does.
The purpose for the legal descriptions is because, again, the appraisal district, in the future would identify, regardless of whether you approve or not approve an abatement, the appraisal district, would need it to identify should the project still decide to go forward.
Yes, we need to get it on the agenda to do, and then we need to get with Allison Bass, I think.
Okay, so if I'm gonna take this as a motion from you, but just wanna make sure I understand. Right now, non-committal as to whether or not we're in favor or against a tax abatement. But we are interested in exploring the process, seeing what that might look like. And so contacting Allison Bass just to see what that would look like. I know we're interested in the environmental study and interested in some other things, probably learning more. Is that what the direction you're going?
Yeah, and they said they'd pay for the legal counsel, so.
You'll send me something in writing that y'all would reimburse, whether we grant an abatement or not, that you would reimburse our legal.
Put something in for you.
Okay.
And also, can you send those appraisals that you talked about, can you send those on that front?
I made a note of it, yes, sir.
If I send you my email address, which is Luke.
Yes, sir. Did I give you my card?
Yeah.
All right, so you've made a motion.
I make a motion that we get with Allison Bass and with the
Second from Commissioner Craig. Again, I will have to abstain from this. Is there any discussion on that motion and second? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so it's 4-0 with me abstaining. 4-0-1. And I'll contact Allison Bass today or tomorrow just to see how that process works. I've never done one of these, so I don't know how that process works, but
You probably need to go here, you might have to bond Jenny or not, bond Jenny out of office, now you've got 700 retired. So when you
but
call-
Eric's who's taking that over?
Well, Eric's, I talked to him, conversation.
Yeah, I have Bob's email. Do you have Eric's?
Don't have Eric.
I bet I can get up
It's
there.
Eric McGee.
Eric McGee.
Yeah.
Oh, I've met him.
Yes.
Okay. And if you could send me that email just so I can have it in writing that you'll cover us across on that.
Like I said, I made a note, I will request a few copies.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Appreciate it.
Thank you again.
Thank
you.
How about a little recess?
Right.
Yeah, we'll take a 5-minute recess and then we'll be.
Okay. And then. shouldn't be a big barrier. It's only gonna be runs. Okay, so there's no.
Yeah, and he hasn't been well lately, so one of those things.
And there's no reflection, so.
Write all your passwords down, put them in the whole
Yeah, you gave him your card, so we're good. So yeah, I'll just.
But have you ever considered coming out and joining the handshake?
It's only, yeah, so we're obviously not involved in this at all, because we're in the north part of the county, but we do get money, you know, so that's good. And, yeah, so, I don't know, I'm gonna ask my commissioner what he thinks about it.
Well, we're gonna have to roll it. Are you a shooter?
What's your first name?
Borrowing. We're gonna have a round.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
I used to be an officer. I was raised in Albany.
It's a great town, the government changes every single day.
Get better equipment.
Can I give you my contact?
Okay, so I just want to know your impressions of, I mean, this doesn't really affect us now.
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah,
it affects the county, so again, overall, it affects our
well, yeah, I mean, we get money, which is great. Okay, so.
There's large, don't appreciate it.
But I mean.
And none of our schools are.
Yeah, so from what you're hearing today, is there any like for?
Sure.
What would that be? Right, yeah.
Especially be interested in knowing that, you know,
There's testing. I mean, it's not us starting.
shields or buffers, and you said you're immediately used. I mean, even we're Howard, we get our money through because of Howard and I joined things.
Services.
The visual,
And that's out there on some of
the
the
sound,
was being raised.
that's our.
That's supposed to be.
That's a.
And the second place is our meeting time for the sheriff department, he's got training classrooms. The enter on the left side is sign.
Like a capital contribution, like a truck to
All right, so let's go.
trucks that we respond to.
And you know, people that are interested in, or they think they have
You guys do it.
Great.
How's our communication now?
Well, you know, Scott, how's it going, man? Going good.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
What's the problem?
Fun stuff.
Yeah, fun stuff.
We were having, Murray was a dead spot. And
It's a lot too. Yeah. You been busy? Yeah, we have. Good. Well, not last week. Right. But other than that, we were. Yeah, we went down to Bryan for a conference down there. Oh, nice. Surely kids will put clothes on when it gets down to 15, 20 degrees. Nah, they're still running around in shorts. Yeah. I'll be down there. Let's see. I'll be down there sometimes for like baseball games or something. It's still cool, and then you go to the bars on North Date, and the girls are like not wearing anything. Like I guess people just don't do that anymore. I don't know. It is crazy. In November, it was like I guess they just figured you tried to
Fire department, which is in there.
I'll be real loud, like, what?
Oh, you're right. I started saying, no, that's not true.
That's okay.
She gets a little emotional. I tell her to. Is this yours?
I got potentially starting data center, and they're talking about they're talking one of the things what they're doing is they're buying all that solar and wind energy, but the main thing is when you pipeline hydrogen from our hydrogen plant to use that, the water's the concern because they need 1 million gallons a day, but they can put close to their system. Reduce the water's the issue.
It's non-existent.
Yeah. We have access. We have access to water. They would possibly.
Besides things what you're talking about, it's going to drain over and possibly keep it first, because those guys are already constructing.
I know.
So, our Garland County,
This would be near you. This would be important. Oh, that's a wind farm. Wind farm, yeah. I saw a map the other day. Bill Smith showed me the map. Yeah, he seems like a good guy. I like him. Sure. Mesh, good to see you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Not to forget about us out there on Kramer.
Okay. Take care. Yeah, we're getting a lot of work to do out there on Kramer. We're trying to get out there, Prairie Circle, all that area out there. We got a Halston Talk. I had not myself, but I know that my guys go out there on a regular basis. Yeah, they're coming in, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
Yep. We have, hi, how are you doing? Okay, nice to meet you. Yes, I am your commissioner. So I live on Judges Road at Fort Belknap, and we have, well, they're doing some remodel on the house across the street from me, but there's 4 or 5 brand new construction on our road as well. So, but our main concern right now is trying to get the mowing done. And we're all last year our tractor was in the shop, broke down, and we didn't get near enough mowing done. So we got a brand new tractor, 140 horse Kubota that's our other tractor wasn't big enough, and that's part of the reason it gets broken down. So we got a brand new tractor this year, so we're going to be getting out there and mowing so we can see where the bar ditches are, what we can do to address it. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, Cemetery Road, Prairie Circle, Kramer Road. There's a certain amount of that spraying that helps, and there's a lot of errors, so we have to be kind of diligent about where we spray and where we don't. So if there's somewhere that we're spraying that you don't want us to spray, then let me know. We have other constituents that can. So please don't spray this area right here, so we don't do that. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Chopped everything out. Yeah. Oh, really? I know.
know, you never know what technology will find.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we need to get started so we can finish our meeting.
All right, nice to see you. Y'all take care. Let me know if you need anything. Okay.
Well, I left you a message the other day, but I didn't hear back from you.
Okay, I was out of town all week for a community conference, so I hadn't really had a chance to check my emails. Okay. All right, no, it's good. So y'all call me anytime. All right, thank you.
I'm going to one of these days.
My understanding is our firm in Virginia is that they can just tack on to our
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, I mean, I think you're considered part of our county emergency management system, so I think we're happy to have you guys.
Okay, man, take care. See you soon.
Hey, Darker, you can see them soon. See you later. Good deal. All right, my understanding is
When you go every year, renew your lease. So I just want to verify it, because otherwise I get. We were gonna move the tower, and it was $20 over to have a tower. That'd be rental for kilos.
Alright, where's Cresswell? Alright.
Come on, Grandpa.
I'm gonna ask you.
Watch it, kid. Sunny.
Alright, it is 11:30, what? 11:30 on the dot. We are back in session. We're gonna call that the Scott Shook Emergency Recess.
It was almost a lot for that situation.
Okay, we're gonna move to item number 11, review the statement of revenue and expenses today. I went through it this morning pretty well, and a lot of items that I was a little nervous about us being over budget has kind of come back into budget. However, some areas of concern, courthouse maintenance, the chiller and the boiler, we are way over budget on both of them. And as anyone who's spent some time over the courthouse, and Lord, I have to hear Timmy gripe about it all the time, because Timmy's not comfortable. Open the window.
We've got a new water leak this morning.
Yeah.
It's being fixed,
So
a lot of repairs.
It looks like it's just, we're gonna go over budget on that this year, and so that's just something to keep in mind.
So I'm trying to move money within that courthouse budget to, kind of make up for some of that.
What I've seen, there are money in there to move.
Yes, and you know, we did put, it seemed like we put a little bit more in the 350, well, 50,000, wasn't that much. I don't know, it's just it's been a bad year on that chiller.
So one thing, the sheriff's department, he was way over budget last time. He's done a good job of kind of reining it back a little bit. He's a little bit over budget on his overtime and holiday pay right now. But overall, he's still in decent shape on his budget, although there's several things he hasn't, like his vehicle budget and stuff like that, he hasn't touched yet, so that may be a little bit misleading. But he's not as out of whack as he was last time on his overtime holiday. Same thing with dispatch. Overtime and holiday pay is a little bit out of whack as far as he's too far ahead of schedule on those. And then when you get into the jail, overtime's actually good. He's on budget for overtime, but holiday pay, he's he's over budget, but all in all, the jail's in decent shape right
And on the
now.
holiday pay, when we sat down with the HR people from TAC, the deal on the holiday pay is just like us. If it's a holiday and you don't work it, but you don't need it to make your hours, you get paid for it. And by paying them what, if they don't need the hour, then you have, that's that many more hours they get paid for. So it kind of makes that a little bit, so sometimes whether they work it or not, and if they, depends on how many hours, sometimes they work 12-hour shifts, they get 12 hours of holiday.
Here on the district courthouse,
The 425?
425,
Uh-huh.
the court interpreters.
Yes, that's a brand new line. What I did, that was being paid out of professional services because Marcia's indigent defense report now, we have to break out interpreters. So Kyle has some that are county employees that interpret, and so we've got that line in there that we're paying every, so when she gets ready to do her report, I will pull that line and have it already broken out. So really, I probably will move money from the professional services, because that's what it was.
We're actually doing a better job of identifying when we need interpreters and bringing in a professional interpreter versus roping in someone from the county to do it, and we would always pay those people. But we're bringing in professional interpreters. We also had a trial with a Colombian gentleman that required us to have a certified interpreter, and that was required by law, so that, it was not cheap. It was pretty expensive.
$1,100
Yeah.
per day.
Wow.
So now they're
So
considering
that,
that
that's,
on
that's,
that.
that, we'll have to do, maybe budget more for it next year, but we're finding that we need, especially with the Colombians, the Venezuelans, we're finding a lot of need for interpreters.
But at the same time, that's something we could get reimbursed partially back.
Yes, it'll go back on her, it wasn't going on her indigent defense report, and so they told us last year it was gonna start, so it did start, so we made our own line, so it'll, it's not gonna help a whole lot, but still, we get to report it.
What pages are emergency, for like the bulldozer?
It's 406,
Up the front.
010-406.
We haven't spent a lot of that money.
Page
I'm hoping all
35.
that's still there.
Well,
Yeah,
I need to discuss it with y'all sometime about taking that truck over and having them do the brakes on that trailer for it. And taking it and, it's got something draining the batteries down on that truck and have it looked
We
at.
put a cutoff switch on ours, them old trucks, it could be a light or radio or something, and it's hard to track down.
Well,
Put
it's
a
got
cutoff
a
on it.
cutoff on it, but we're still drawing that, not all of it.
I had $65,000 in that budget, and with not really having a fire season this year, we didn't really spend a lot of money like we have in the past.
So that's the
We're not
equipment,
done
principal,
yet,
and
though,
interest.
Well, I know, but so far, we're ahead of schedule as far as what we thought we would have to spend money for. So my point is that there is money in our civil defense budget to do the repair.
Okay, well then I'll go ahead and take the truck over and have the trailer brakes fixed on it.
How much are you thinking?
Probably 3,000 or so.
No, it's expensive, but we do have money for that.
Well, I'll just have him replace them completely and go all new brakes on it, on all the axles, that way we
Are you
can
talking
get
about a
our-
light trailer or?
Yeah, get the air brakes fixed on the trailer and get all the lights fixed on it.
All right, we're 43% done with our year, more or less. Precinct 1, you've spent about half your budget so far. Precinct 2, you've spent about half your budget.
Oh, good.
Precinct 3, you've only spent a third of your budget. That gold star.
All right.
Get a gold star.
Still young, still
Yeah.
working here.
Yeah.
Underachiever.
Precinct 4, you came in second place. You've only spent 46% of your budget. So, this side of the room gets gold star. This side of the room, we're a little nervous about.
We're good, we're good.
But do we want to do this monthly or quarterly? What
I
is?
like the monthly. The
Monthly?
I do.
Okay,
What
we
would
do
you
monthly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like looking through this.
I like it on.
It is, it is.
Also, you know, the very first pages, we didn't do this last time, but that's your statement of revenue, so you can see like, we've gotten the wind farm money, the 918, we need to, I guess budget that
Plug Power
$160.
They cured the default and Plug Power did pay their pilot payment to us.
The Trinity wind?
And so we actually negotiated a pilot payment that was a take or pay with them, where they're paying
Yeah, the
us
young
their
wind.
yearly pilot, whether they build a
But then
plane
we
or not.
get that,
That's the way we're doing it.
it's not received.
So we've now got 2 payments without any construction.
Oh, okay, so it's not showing yet.
Payments out of it.
Which what happens is
I pulled this Friday after, she probably doesn't have it seen it yet.
full, is it worth more than what we're getting?
They're basically losing.
They're losing.
That way.
One thing I'll say on the revenues, because I got it, and I know you probably got that report on the sales tax. Sales tax are, I mean, they're doing great. They're going, yeah, way higher than we had in the past.
Well, see that, as far as the other tax
But
goes,
they're still.
Well,
they're selling 40 plus cars.
Even if you kill that switch, it's still leaves the deficit.
Oh, really?
So you don't kill it in
Which
the
is
middle of the
good.
party.
It's good, they do a good job, yeah.
Okay, do we have any more questions about the review of revenue and expense? Thank you, Cheryl, for getting that, for putting that together for
Thank y'all
everybody.
for looking at it.
I do think we made a little bit of improvement from the last time we looked at it. We're getting back on schedule. Okay, let's go to item number 14. And did you put, these are in my packet, is this the updated ones?
Yes,
Okay.
well, the second one you sent me out.
The second one, yeah. Okay, so this is something that happens every year. This is the, the hazard, this is, item number 14, discuss and consider the interlocal government cooperation contract for the application and administrative services local hazard mitigation plans program between Nortex Planning Commission and Young County. So we have to do this every year, and it's basically, every county that's part of Nortex has to sign this agreement in order for that money to get funded to the Council of Government, and then the Council of Government will then fund it out to the entities. So the first, and it's a very standard interlocal agreement, it's the same, very similar interlocal agreement that we had last year that really binds Nortex, and since we're a member entity of Nortex, it binds Nortex with, who's it bound with? It's, with the Texas General Land Office. So we're basically stating that we understand and support them being bound to the General Land Office for the money that gets sent in. So we'll have that, and then there's also an interlocal agreement. I mean, a resolution. Let me read the resolution.
Is it true, Win, that when this thing, it's one of the processes we have to be a part of in order to get grants?
Yeah, no, if we don't approve this,
We don't get.
then we
grants.
can't get these grants.
Whether it's HUD grant or anything else like that.
Yes. So the resolution is Resolution 119 fiscal year 2025, whereas the County of Young, Texas, contingent on receiving a local hazard mitigation plans program through the Texas General Land Office, and now therefore be it resolved by the County Commissioners Court of the County of Young, County, Texas, in regular session this the 24th day of February 2025, contingent on award, 1, that the County of Young accepts the LHMPP grant contract number to be announced later from the Texas General Land Office and directs and authorizes the county judges to execute a contract with the General Land Office to this end. 2, that the County of Young accept the offer of Nortex Regional Planning Commission to provide grant application / general administrative services as is required by this LHMPP grant to the County of Young. Pass and approve this 24th day of February 2025. I will note I did not write this one. I don't think it reads very well, but that being said, that is the resolution that goes with the contract. This is something we do every year. Just for reference, we're having this, the reason we're doing it now is we're kind of having to rush it through because March 6th, we're going to score and rank hazard and mitigation plan grants. And we, Young County, has written a grant for generators for the sheriff's emergency communication system that hopefully, if we're successful, we'll get some of the money that this is going to be tied to. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about the resolution or the interlocal government contract? We have a motion from Commissioner Wiley. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Cresswell to accept both the interlocal government contract and the resolution as presented. Any comments or discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0 for both. And I combined the two, but there were two separate items on the agenda. But we approved both in one motion and one vote. Item number 16, discuss and consider burn restrictions.
We've had a few fires.
We've had a lot of fires lately.
And there's a lot of fuel out there right now to burn, but I think for the most part, we're fine.
So I feel like the fires have picked up. What's really causing these fires?
So the last one over in Olney was lines slapping together. We had 30-mile-an-hour gusts, and it was able to hit an arc and cause it. The structure fire this morning, it was a air fryer that shorted out that caused it. And so, of course, the weather normally don't affect structure fires anyway, but
or air fryers.
yeah, not normally. But yeah, it's as far as like the humidity and stuff goes, yeah, we're starting to lower. But until TFS puts out something saying that we're in extreme fire danger, I think we're okay right now.
So you're good with no action?
Yes, sir.
So on our lots across from the fort, we've been out there and we've walked and we drove, and there's parts of that property where there's just big holes, where there might have been a tree planted there, there was a post planted there. I pulled out in there in my pickup and had to get in four-wheel drive to get out of it. So what we're determining, and plus the stickers, so what we're thinking is we're gonna put a perimeter all around there with our grader, and then we're gonna burn that thing off so that we can see where the holes are, and then we'll come in there and clean everything up, grade it out, make sure there's no holes, there's no humps that cars are gonna get stuck trying to drive over on. And then we'll get a little bit of rain and get some green grass come back before April 12th.
Can you do me a favor and get Newcastle or
We're on top of that. We already got the fire department involved. We're gonna take
Oh my God, can you imagine?
I know.
County commissioners burned down county.
I know. And so we gotta have our water truck out, our personal water truck out there. We're gonna have our graders out there. We're gonna have our employees out there. And then we've already talked to Newcastle about bringing their trucks and people.
Yeah.
So we're on all that. So, and we're gonna watch the wind. And
Are you gonna do both of those lots?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we did burn it all off.
Which will be great because we need it for parking.
Yes.
When do we want to start our other construction down there?
RV park?
I'm still trying to get together with the Fort Belknap Electric to tell us how much power we're gonna have to do that. I guess we could go ahead and talk to burning this off and seeing what the property looks like is gonna help a lot. I think there's some trees we need to clean up, and I need to get with the septic tank guy.
How many is slots you say, 10 or?
10 would be, in between 10 and 20. I don't think we can get 20, but more than 10 is what it's got. I've got a plat laid out, and it's just kind of showing what.
You don't have a final plan yet.
No.
And can I give you your name and number, that guy? Would you
Yes,
call him
I
and
will.
show him that plat?
I will.
Because he really,
Yes.
I think he would have some really good comments.
Sure.
Either the plat's perfect or you need to think about doing something.
Yeah, there needs a lot this weekend.
I figure 20 to 50 amp breakers
Yes.
on that.
Yeah, we want to do 50 amp, and we want sewer and water at every location. So
We'll put 30s and 50 boxes up
yes.
together, under 10 bucks.
So I've talked to an electrician. He's on standby to give us a bid on running the power across the property. We've got to have Fort Belknap Electric give us an idea of what they're going to do, where they're going to put their power poles to get transformers there. And then I need to get with a septic
We may just see if they'll come across the road over there, with a transformer on the ground, we won't have any poles exposed.
Well, there is power to the very south part of the property, right there. There's a water well there and there's power right there.
So we can go underground with all that. We won't-
Yeah, but we've got to head east with it, so.
Yeah. And we won't get around and get you.
So, yeah, I've been waiting to get through the cold and the holidays and everything, so we're kind of at the point now where we need to start reaching out to some people, getting some bids on some of these things. But really cleaning off the property, cleaning it up, getting where you can drive in and out of there without getting stuck is gonna be a priority too, so.
Good idea.
So if anything's over 50,000, we'll need seal bids.
I can't spend more than 50?
Not at a time, without seal bids.
Oh, you're talking about from the contract. We also had a budget for what we were trying to stay under this year, I think it
It's
was.
already budgeted this year.
Yeah, we have a budget, so we need to
Yeah.
get started here this year, but we
Right.
might have to send out the bids, even though we have a budget.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Before we close, I've got both haul trailers in my yard right now. I'm gonna go ahead and take that truck on over and get lights put on that trailer where we can see it better at night. Get the brakes fixed on it and take that truck over and let them look at that electrical problem. I think it's with the DEF system on it. I think it's staying live with the DEF system and causing the batteries to get low. I'm gonna see if we can put a kill switch on that because it's hooked in different than what your regular battery cables are. But I'm gonna keep the other trailer there and put the dozer on it while that trailer's being worked on.
Okay.
Anybody got a problem with that?
I don't know that I'd put it on there until we actually need it.
Well, you ever try to go up there at night and load the dozer in the middle of the
Yeah, I've
yard?
done it 1,000 times.
Well, I'm not going to. I'll put it on it.
Superman.
Yeah.
Okay, so the agenda item again was discuss and consider burn restrictions. We got a little bit off topic.
No
Are you
action.
good with no action?
No action.
Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Me?
Motion second, all in favor?
You've done it alone.
Close it down. You wanna meet out there?
Hey, Jen,
1:30?
so the farm this morning, is that one?
I feel like I'm changing mine, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
But I'm good at that, 30.
Fancy guy too, so.
But no, we need to break this on that trailer.
Yeah, you got a priority there for sure.
Get some lights on it. So when we do get dry this summer, last year I lived there by myself trying to load it.
Okay.
And it's like,
I literally put in my phone, 1:30, meet Stacy, and it filled in Crestwell at the WPJ cemetery.
Oh,
That
Phone
is a
is listening
smart,
to us.
that's a smart phone right there.
well,
Dan,
got
how are
rid of
you?
all this, Stacy, so it wasn't good.
See everybody in here. I figured I'd come shake some hands.
See you. I can't turn this off.
How you doing? Good, sir. How are you? Good, good.
You know how to turn that on?
Good to see you.
How you doing, sir? Doing good. And. Yeah. We've done that, safe place exchange out here.
It's still on.
Oh,
I got it figured out.
I detected that this morning, did I not?